The room was silent. After Itsumu left the room, Queen Sakusa proceeded to smack her son's head. Ow! What was that for? That was for being rude to your fiancé. Queen Sakusa then smacked her son again. And that's for being so difficult. Honey, I think he understands. No. He doesn't. Now Sakusa Kiyomi, I want you to apologize to your fiancé this instant. But a sincere apology. As Sakusa was about to protest, his mother sent him a glare. Yes, mother. Sakusa clenched his fist and hurriedly walked out of the room. Komura shot an apologetic look at his aunt and uncle and ran after him. Queen Sakusa sighed and turned to look at Queen Mia. I sincerely apologize for my son's rude behavior. I didn't think he would react this negatively to the engagement. No. I understand that he is different compared to others. Hopefully he isn't too hard on Itsumu-kun. Kiyomi is known for being cold towards those he doesn't like. I hope Itsumu can get along with him. He's been adjusting a lot better to royal life than I thought he would. Hopefully. Sakusa was, walking down the hall. Komura was having a hard time trying to catch up. Whoa cuz, slow down. Sakusa suddenly stopped, causing Komura to collide with him. He turned around and glared at his cousin. Jesus Kiyo, warn a guy, why don't you? Really, that's all you have to say? What do you mean? I'm marrying someone, Motoya. I'm aware of this, Kiyo. Sakusa fidgeted with his hands and paced around the hall. He frustratingly tugged at his sleeves. Motoya, I don't know this guy. He could literally not brush his teeth or wash his hands, and I'm expected to marry him. Whoa, slow your roll. You're just assuming he's all that. Yeah, but you should try to get to know him before treating him like he's the bane of your existence. Look, I know that this is going to be hard for you. But can you just try to get along with him? You don't even have to touch him, just be civil, Kiyo. Sakusa stopped pacing and sighed. He looked at his cousin and nodded. The brunette smiled widely and softly patted his cousin's back. Now, come on. You got an apology to deliver. With Itsumu. Itsumu sped off to his room. He walked past Hinata and Asahi, each casting him a look of worry. He reached his hand forward and opened the door to his room. He slammed it and slid his back down to the floor. He sighed and put his face in his hands. Why me? He talked to the emptiness of his room. Is it wrong to want my old life back? He clenched his fist. Haha, I don't hate my brother or mother. I actually care about them, but... A few tears slid down his face as he tried to hold himself together. He sobbed alone in his room. Or so he thought. Tsumu. He jumped at the sudden voice. He looked to the source of the voice and saw. Tsunarin. Tsumu, are you crying? Itsumu hid his head into his arms, furiously wiping his eyes. A quiet no was heard from him before he averted his gaze from the other. Suna walked quietly towards Itsumu and sat beside him. He pulled him in for a hug, the other let out a small squeak and blushed in embarrassment. He was tense in the hug, so Suna rubbed his back to comfort him. He relaxed and slowly hugged back. So, you wanna tell me what's wrong? Of course you don't, you stubborn piece of... Suna stopped talking and sighed. You know you can tell me anything, right? You're my best friend, I wanna know why you're upset. I'm scared. Suna was startled but calmed down quickly. Itsumu tightened his grip on his best friend. I'm scared, Tsunarin, I don't wanna marry him. This life is so different from the one I'm used to. I have a brother and my ma wasn't actually my ma. The queen is my mother, Sunaran. My mother. I'm royalty and heir to the throne. I have new responsibilities plus I'm getting married to someone who hates my guts. Tsumu. I'm just, scared and lost. Sunaran, what do I do? Suna sighed and stared at his friend. He held him closer before speaking. Well, I can't speak from experience and say everything will be alright because things will get harder, but you have me and Samu, we got your back. If you need to talk to someone, come to either of us. We'll figure this out together, okay? Etsumu nodded and sobbed. Suna hugged Etsumu as he cried his worries away. He eventually exhausted himself and fell asleep. Suna sighed as held him and looked at the bathroom door. You can come out now. Osamu walked out from the bathroom, tears pricking his eyes as he stared at his lover and brother. He silently walked towards him and held his arms out. He motioned his hands to pick up Etsumu. Suna handed Etsumu to Osamu. He watched as his lover carried his brother to his bed. He played him down and tucked him in. He moved some hair from his face before leaning down and kissing his forehead. He then pulled a chair from Itsumu's desk and placed it beside the bed. He sat down and motioned for him to come closer. Suna stood up and walked towards the other. Samu. Are you okay? Honestly, no, I'm not. He's miserable, Rin, and I don't know what to do. Baby, you know that we can't do much. He's been thrown into a completely different world. He thought he was a normal villager, but instead he's a prince. Osamu turned to his beloved and raised an eyebrow at him. I don't mean it in a bad way. He's just tired, Samu. I wish he didn't have to marry that prince. I know. Osamu hugged the other. Suna hugged him back. They pulled away from each other. When are we gonna tell him? That his parents were found and arrested? We'll tell him when he wakes up. Okay. They stared at Itsumu's sleeping figure, dreading the upcoming confrontation they were bound to face. Sakusa and Komori arrived at Sakusa's fiancée's room. Sakusa was about to knock on the door when he heard sniffling come from inside. He paused his ministrations and turned to his cousin. Do you hear that? Yeah, sounds like crying. I think we should come back later, this seems like a bad TI. Komori shushed him and grabbed his arm. He pulled him as close to the door as possible. What the? Komo, shut up. You're gonna get us caught. Sakusa slapped his cousin's hand from his mouth and wiped it excessively. He then turned towards the door and leaned closer, trying to hear what was going on the other side of the door. I'm scared, Sunaran. I don't wanna marry him. This life is so different from the one I'm used to. I have a brother and my ma wasn't actually my ma. The queen is my mother, Sunaran. My mother. I'm royalty and heir to the throne. I have new responsibilities plus I'm getting married to someone who hates my guts. Sakusa leaned back, having decided he heard enough. He turned around and walked away. Why, hey, where are you going? Komori turned around to see his cousin walk away. He looked back and forth between the door and his cousin. He groaned and followed his cousin. Hey, where are you going? They walked a considerable distance from the room and ended up at Sakusa's room. Come on, cuz, talk to me. You know I can't read minds. He stopped talking when he saw the other's face. He had a pinched expression on his face. He looked to be concentrating really hard. Komori, confused, snapped his fingers in his face. Oi! Kyo, snap out of it. Huh? Oh. Sorry. Sakusa opened the door and walked inside, Komori following. Komori looked at his cousin's tense frame before speaking. Is this about your fiancé? You're feeling guilty, right? For saying you don't want to marry him at the meeting. And for being a jerk to him for no apparent reason. Geez, thanks for stating the obvious. Komura sighed before sitting down on the sofa. He looked at his cousin and gestured for him to take a seat. Sakusa sat down on the guest room's bed and looked at his cousin. He was waiting for him to speak. I know you want me to tell you what to do, cuz. But all I can tell you to do is be nice to him. I know that, but... Kyo, I'm not going to be here all the time to help you with your problems. You have to decide what you're going to do next. After all, he's your fiancé. To be continued.